Opening scene, a dusty road winding through rocky hillsides. The sun blares down, and a figure is seen lying sprawled on the ground, barely moving. View, voiceover. Don't scroll. Let me ask you, what would you do if you saw someone suffering and ignored by everyone else? Would you rush to help? Or would you keep walking, thinking someone else will handle it? Today, let's journey back to ancient Israel and unpack the story of the Good Samaritan. It's a story about love that breaks barriers, and I promise, by the end of this video, you'll see love and kindness through a whole new lens. Keep watching. This will blow your mind. Scene transition. We see a teacher, Jesus, sitting under the shade of a fig tree, surrounded by a crowd of curious listeners. The atmosphere is warm and expectant. VO. One day, a lawyer trying to test Jesus asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus, as he often did, turned the question back on the lawyer. "What is written in the law?" he asked. The lawyer replied, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus nodded and said, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But the lawyer, wanting to justify himself, pressed further. "And who is my neighbor?" That's when Jesus began telling a story that would change the way we think about kindness forever. Scene: a man, clearly an Israelite, is traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. The road is treacherous and isolated. Suddenly, a group of bandits ambushes him. They beat him mercilessly and strip him of his clothes, leaving him bloodied and half dead on the roadside. VO. The story begins with a man traveling alone. Bandits surrounded him, robbed him, and left him for dead. Beaten, bruised, and weak, he lay there, drifting in and out of consciousness. But wait, it gets worse. Help came. Or at least, it should have. Scene: a priest, walking the same road, spots the man from a distance. He hesitates, pulls his robes tightly around him, and crosses to the other side of the road. VO. The first passerby was a priest. You'd think someone so close to God's law would be the first to help, right? But when he saw the injured man, he worried. Perhaps he thought, what if the bandits are still nearby? Or maybe he didn't want to become ceremonially unclean by touching blood. Whatever the reason, he avoided the man and walked on. Scene: a Levite, wearing distinct garments, follows soon after. He too sees the man, but after a quick glance, hurriedly walks past without stopping. VO. Next came a Levite. Levites were responsible for assisting in temple duties and were honorable in society. Surely, he'd help. But no. The Levite did the same as the priest, skirting past the man without a second thought. Imagine the despair of the injured man, alone, helpless, and ignored. Scene change. A third figure appears in the distance, riding a donkey. He approaches cautiously. VO. But then hope appeared. A Samaritan. Now let me explain something key. Samaritans and Jews were not on friendly terms. In fact, their animosity ran deep. So when Jesus mentioned a Samaritan, his audience surely braced for him to be the villain of the story. But watch this. Scene: the Samaritan gets off his donkey, kneels by the injured man, and begins cleaning his wounds. He takes out olive oil and wine from his bag, treating the injuries. VO. When the Samaritan saw the man, his heart was filled with compassion. He didn't hesitate. He didn't think of their differences in race or religion. He saw a fellow human in need. Using what little he had, just oil, wine, and cloth, he bandaged the man's wounds, but he didn't stop there. Scene: the Samaritan helps the man onto his donkey and leads him to an inn. There he pays the innkeeper and instructs him. VO. Bring this man inside. Take care of him. Here are 2 denarii. This should cover his expenses. But if he needs more, I'll repay you on my next visit. Can you imagine? This man went the extra mile for a stranger who might have even despised him before this moment. It was kindness beyond expectation. Scene transition, back to Jesus and the crowd under the fig tree. There's silence as he asks the lawyer one final question. VO. And then Jesus asked, "Which of these three do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The answer was obvious. Even the lawyer had to admit, the one who showed mercy. Jesus replied, "Go and do likewise." Scene, montage of modern acts of kindness. Someone helping an elderly person cross the street, another sharing food with the hungry, people of different races and backgrounds hugging and smiling together. VO. And that's the heart of the story. Being a neighbor isn't about geography, shared religion, or race. It's about compassion. It's about seeing someone's pain and doing something about it. So let me ask you again, what would you do if you saw someone suffering? What boundaries are you willing to cross to help another? Closing scene. The road fades away into a golden sunset as the words, "Love your neighbor as yourself," appear on screen. VO. The story of the Good Samaritan teaches us one powerful truth. Love is action. Mercy has no borders. And compassion? Well, it might just be the most divine act of all. So go on. Be a neighbor, break barriers, and let love guide your path. Your neighbor isn't just the person next door. It's anyone in need. Share this story to remind someone of the power of unconditional kindness. I guarantee it will change someone's life. Bible, that's Jesus. God, that's Jews. Christian, Christianity. Faith. Ensure the expanded voiceover is even more entertaining, but that it maintains the same style, tone, and key points as the original.